Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Oxford United preview show here on Very Biased Opinions. Before we get into everything, I will quickly thank our Patreon sponsors, PJ Simpson, Matt Urenker, Grandstand Betters, Matthew Bowden, and Pessimistic Brother Alan. Thank you guys for your support. Please check out the link down below in the description for more information on that. But you came here for Oxford United information. Oxford United hosting Charlton Athletic this weekend. Ian, give me a rundown of the week in team news.
Thomas, it's a week where Oxford United have had two draws. One of them was a bit of a mad scramble against the Milton Keynes Dons. And you can see in the thumbnail on the screen now, my reaction's a little bit crazy. You should go and check that out. And then Oxford followed that up by having a very entertaining 0-0 draw with the league leaders, Peterborough. It really shouldn't have ended 0-0. There's a game that deserved goals. Both sides played really well, and it looked like all sets of players enjoyed the game. Like it didn't seem like players, there wasn't any needle or any aggro. It was like people were getting, people weren't complaining to the referee. It was like, get knocked down, get on with it. It was really, really fun to watch, but it was 0-0. So a couple of decent points, which leaves Oxford in that kind of grey area of kind of touching distance of the playoffs, but they're not winning and not necessarily playing great. And the biggest problem is they're just not scoring goals. And coupling on with that, we've had some problems with injuries. Obviously, before the Peterborough game, Winnall got injured, and there is James Henry got ruled out for a month as well. And during the Peterborough game, Elliot Lee got a knee injury, but he's only going to be out for a week. And Sham Long pulled a hamstring, and we don't know how long he's going to be out there as well.
Too long.
Yeah, too long for long. So the squad is going to be tested. It's a relentless schedule for everybody, as I keep saying. In the week as well, Tiger, the chairman, came out and said it's cost Oxford 2.3 million, the cost of coronavirus, which sounds crazy, but we don't know how much that is compared to everybody else. And it must have been something that everybody's budgeted for and known was going to happen. But so not amazing news on that front, but we go into this Charlton game with Carl Robinson in another Carl Robinson derby, with him looking to obviously shuffle the pack a little bit. And I'm just going to go into what I think. I'm going to go into what I think Robinson will play, and then what I think I would like to see as well. So up on the screen is my wonderful chalkboard or team sheet. So without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to be Jack Stevens in goal. He was absolutely immense against Peterborough. He got the man of the match. I forgot to mention an incredible save he made right at the end of that game. He was superb. Usual three of the back fours, obviously going to be Ruffles. I keep saying obviously Ruffles, obviously Moore, obviously Atkinson. You've got to double down on this shit when you notice your flaws, Thomas. Right back situation, I think that Robinson's going to go with Anthony Ford there. And it's probably the logicalist choice. Hansen hasn't been amazing there. But that is not necessarily what I would do. But we'll get back to that in a second. So on 9 yellow cards, Alex Goran sits in front of the back four. He's on 9 yellow cards. He might miss the Swindon game. Might miss the club who might not be named game. It's inevitable he's going to get this 10th yellow card, so he is going to get a 2-game ban at some point, just wherever that falls. He may even get time to rack up 15 and get a 3-game ban for the end of the season. Centre midfield. I think that Carl Robinson is going to play Cameron Brannigan, and I think he's going to play Liam Kelly. It's going to be a return to the side for the old Kells. I think he's going to play Shadipo on the left. If Shadipo is not quite fit, it could be Barker. He's going to play Jeremiah Sykes on the right, and he's going to play Taylor up front on his own. But that isn't the side I would go with. What changes I would make to it? I would play Hansen at right back, and I would play Ford on right wing, because I thought Anthony Ford played really well when he came in against Peterborough, and I thought he hasn't got the pace to beat people, but he's got the quality from his crossing. And that is something that has been lacking, is the quality of getting the ball into the box. And that is something he's good at, and he's good at set-piece delivery as well. Centre midfield 2, I would have Sykes and I would have Brannigan. And I would literally say to those two, you are the centre midfield now. You are the guys that are going to be our centre midfield for the next 5, 6, 7 games. You need to learn how to play together, learn how to be that couple, because Sykes was a lot better when he was centre midfield in this game as opposed to right wing. And I hope Robinson just doesn't do the whole thing of just throw Sykes in, like literally almost like pin the tail on the fucking tactics board for where I'm going to play Mark Sykes this week. I want to see him cemented in that place because I think he could be a really decent number 10 role. I think he's very good at that. Wingers, one of the two of them, either way. But I would play Adji up front as well. I would start with Adji up front in this game. Taylor needs a break. I think we could use the more physical presence of Adji and the more kind of like ability he has to hold the ball up and bring others into play. Because the biggest problem Oxford have at the moment is scoring goals. That defensive line and goalkeeper have been fantastic, but scoring goals is the problem. And creating clear-cut chances is a problem as well. And I think you really need to say to Sykes and Brannigan, because we don't score any goals through midfield, you guys need to just gamble a bit more. Oxford almost need to just say, we need to gamble and try and even be prepared to lose this game to try and win it, if you know what I mean. It's because Charlton are going to be very stubborn. They're going to be very hard to beat. They've got a lot of experienced players. It's going to be very similar to the Portsmouth game. And Oxford are going to need to have people that can drive into the penalty area. So we're not just hitting one target, we're hitting 2 or 3. And I'd love to see Brannigan and Sykes just making more of an effort to get into the penalty area to try and Oxford to score some goals, because I think we're going to need it. I think this game's going to be tight. I've predicted Oxford will come through at 2-1. But it's a Charlton side that have had their own problems, but I think they might be coming out on the back end of it. They've got a goal scorer in their side, and as I said, they've got experienced players. So that's where I see Oxford stand at the moment. But we will throw it over to Thomas, live from Old Trafford, who's going to give us his thoughts on Carlton.
Yes, Ian, I've just interviewed for the Man United job, but apparently I'm overqualified because I believe in attacking. But let's talk about...
touche.
Let's talk about Charlton Athletic at the Addicts. They currently sit in 9th on 47 points. They're equal on points with Accrington, who are placed above them, and 1 above the Great Yellows of Oxford United. They've only won 1 of their last 5 matches, but it was their last match and a 1-0 win over Wigan. They've got 13 wins this season against 11 losses and 8 draws. Lee Bowyer, as many know, is the man in charge. He's come a long way since he got in a punch-up with Kieran Dyer in a Newcastle game. Became manager of Charlton at the end of the 17-18 season after Big Carl left. And it's been a very up-and-down time. He won the playoffs, took them into the championship, which was great. They then got relegated on the final day of the season last year. In around that, there's been weird contract negotiations. I'm staying, I'm not staying. The club needs back. But at the end of the day, he's proven himself as a pretty adept manager at Charlton, and he's done a lot with them. Now comes the question marks. What the hell sort of formation are they going to play? Let me read you their last 6 formations. 4-3-3, 4-3-3, 3-4-3, 4-4-2, 4-4-2, 4-4-2, and if you go back 7, 4-3-3. I'm expecting a 4-3-3. They've just won a game. You don't generally change your side, which means they'll be lining up pretty much equal with the Oxford United side. As you said, they have a goal scorer, Chris Aniki. He's got 12 goals and an assist, which ties him for 8th in the league. Couple players I want to highlight before I say what's going to happen in this. Forster Kasky, who's an ex-OUFC player who's on loan, is having a really good season in centre midfield. He's been key to this team, and he was out injured, I think, for 3 weeks or something, and they did not win a single game. Came back and absolutely ran things against Wigan. He is an all-or-nothing sort of player. He defends, he attacks, he throws himself around the pitch, and he's really good. The other interesting player is Liam Miller, Canadian international, currently contracted by Liverpool, but I think we can expect that to change as he's 21 years old and still being loaned out to a League One team. But he's got 8 Canadian caps. He's got talent and skill. He's clearly technically gifted, and I think he could be a difference maker for the squad, and he could help take them forward. He's only been there for just over 2 months now. Both sendings off in the Blackpool game have been overturned. Those sendings off really, really killed Charlton, and at that point, it was the end. Fans and media reaction was typical of a big club in League One doing badly. It's over.
Quote gets the quotation marks out, folks.
It's so painful. It's a blip. You know Bowyer is a good manager. You know this is a good club. They were pacing the league at one point. I don't think they can fall any lower than 12th, even if they keep playing badly. And they're going to be near the playoffs come hell or high water at the end of the season. They play a really interesting style of football from what I can tell. It's not necessarily possession-based as much as it's pragmatic and playing to their strengths. Sometimes they outpossess the opposition, sometimes they don't. All Bowyer demands is hard work and players closing down and driving forward at the same time. He has a lot of players who the entire point is they can defend and attack. They've won a bunch of games this season when they've been outpossessed. They've equally lost a bunch of games when they've been outpossessed. It is not a specific style of play based on possession. They've scored 46 and conceded 44. So what he's looking for is players that play with the same intensity he had as a player. He really wants everyone tuned in. He wants them breaking up those through balls. But when they turn off, they concede goals. I personally think they're back on a good run now. I think Forster, Kasky is a really key player to shoring up their midfield, and he's done that. I think Liam Miller, like I said, is really interesting. And in general, this is a championship side that's come down, so they are decent. I think it's going to be an normal draw, though. Oxford United's defense looks incredibly strong right now. They're not giving up a huge amount of opportunities, and when they do, Stevens has been fantastic. Their midfield is built for defense rather than attack, and I think that is a Carl Robinson thing. I don't think he wants the players to break lines very much. I think he likes that midfield three almost holding in place. And I think that's their current problem. And much like in the Peterborough match and the MK Dons match before that, I just don't see Oxford being able to break down this Charlton side, who I think, even though they've only won 1 in 5, are more confidence.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we just don't. That's the thing. We just don't have a midfielder that's got that ability to kind of drop the shoulder and go past people. Marcus McGuane was doing that earlier on in the season, and obviously Shandon Baptiste was very good at that last season.
Shandon,
yeah, he was wonderful at doing that. But Brannigan, and that's why I don't think Brannigan and Sykes can do that. So they need to make up for that by literally almost just bombing on and going on beyond the 100%. I really like. I know this Charlton side has had a lot of injuries in defence. And I know people like Pearce has had a great season. Ben Watson has been around forever, solid in centre midfield. And Connor Washington's also, I think he scored against Oxford in the other game, but he's a name that's been around for a long time as well and is a good player. You're going to get some shit for the way you pronounce their centre forward, but we'll wait for the comment section on that one, Tom.
Fuck off.
Hope it is not 0-0. We are doing a live stream like we always do, 2:45 on Saturday, so go and check that out. But before we round off this video, we do have time for the best part. How could we forget about the best part? It is where you, the fans, have sent in your score predictions, and we don't have as many as we had last week. We got up to 7. We're back down to 5. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. We've gone for quality over quantity, Thomas. I had to filter out the thousands that sent in, and go with these ones.
For sure.
But we start, as always, with the opening batsman, Patreon backer, Matthew Bowden.
Hey, very biased opinions. Matt Bowden here. Another week, another prediction. So it's going to be Bookie's favourite, 0-0 at half-time, full-time, 2-1 to Oxford. Just scraping in there.
Matthew, why'd you play with me in such a way? I thought it was going to be 0-0. I thought you were on my side, but no, you sided with Alan.
What type of opening batsman do you think Matthew would be, Thomas?
Jonathan Trott.
He's not an opening batsman, but there's your only cricket. He's the only cricketer he knows. Anyway, right, we'll move on with that. Okay, well, just thank you, Matthew, as always, as a Patreon backer. Runs the Oxford Downs YouTube channel as well. Go and check them out. But we move on to the second Patreon backer that we have. He's the person that I like to abbreviate the name down to PBA. Pessimistic Brother Alan. Let's see, wearing his glasses for once, what he has to say.
Oh yeah, hi Tom. Just want to give my prediction for the Charlton game. We play quite well midweek, but we don't really have much of a cutting edge at the moment. So I'm going to be less pessimistic than normal and go with 0-0. Bye.
I tell you, it's literally almost like we come from different parents. It really is. What is he talking about? How can you possibly think 0-0? What evidence do you have for the past few games that this game is going to be 0-0? Actually, thinking about it, he's probably going to be spot on. But anyway, thank you. As we are going to move on, and Tom, if you will permit me to sing.
Yes.
Bright light city's gonna set my soul. It's gonna set my soul on fire.
Copyright.
Jordan, Las Vegas. Jordan, Las Vegas. Jordan, Las Vegas.
Hello, very unbiased opinions. Here's my prediction for the Oxford versus Charlton game this Saturday. I think it's going to be 2-1 to Oxford. Matty Taylor's going to score. And thank you.
That's 3 predictions, all of which are matching one of our scores. You say there's 5 predictions. I'm really excited to see which of us has more support.
Thank you, Jordan. Really appreciate you sending the video in again. We move on to number 4 from a neutral party. He's literally like the Switzerland of our very biased opinions fan phoning. It is Mr. Tangerine himself. That is Matt, the Blackpool fan, who's done a score prediction for Oxford. And I asked him to also do one for the Blackpool game, and he's happily obliged. And actually, we can see him this time as well, which is a bonus.
What's good, lads? My prediction for this game, Oxford 1, Charlton 0. I think you'll have them in the bag. Blackpool, we played Charlton last week, beat them 3-0. Jerry Yates masterclass. But, you know, I think you'll have them as well. I think you're a better team, quite frankly, up the Oxford. As for Blackpool, we're going to batter AFC Wimbledon and go on a title charge, win every single game, do a Man City and just beat everyone. So watch out for us. We're too good up the pool.
Oh, you see, the voice of logic from a neutral fan there, Thomas. He's gone for an Oxford 1-0 win, which sounds about right to me. But I am intrigued at what he's saying about Blackpool. He is saying, get your money on Blackpool, folks. If that is right, we are going to see a surge up the league. I've already messaged him back to say, please, can they just lose one game to Oxford? That will help us out a bunch. But then you go for it, Blackpool. You go for it. You storm this league. You take that crown away from Peterborough.
You go, Glen Coco.
And as always, thanks for sending in your video. And we move on to the 5th and final, but by no means least, because it is another Patreon backer. It is a friend of the channel, a guy we collaborate with. I forget his name. No, I don't forget his name. Matt from Grandstand Betters.
What do we say about Oxford United? Yeah, that about sums it up. Oxford, they're going to lose this game. But you know what? I think they're going to finally score a goal. Let's go with 3-2. 3-2 Oxford loses to Charles in charge.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A professional tipster and the only person who's gone for goals. Clearly, the man is not to be trusted at all. He's being mean. What he is a Wycombe Wanderers fan throwing shade at an Oxford United channel.
He was clearly, I don't know what he was drinking in that video. I'm going to guess it was something like Iron Brew. That's an American drink, right?
Yes.
So, too much Iron Brew, Matthew. Stay off the Iron Brew.
All that's left to do now is to thank all of you lovely people for watching. Please put your score predictions below. Catch us tomorrow at 2:45. We'll be live streaming for the whole match. Afterwards, we will cut off very quickly and record our post-match video, which you can check out probably around 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening. These are all English.
Both sound good to me. Don't forget to also go and check out Grandstand Betters because we collaborate them, and we'll have a video coming out on their channel featuring myself and Thomas doing some score tip predictions for the week of for the weekend of football. And also thank you once again to everybody that sent their video in. If you want to be a part of it, you can do it for next week's round of games. We do this every week. Just send your 10 to 20-second videos in. You can be part of the show and we'll bloody love you. You can be legends like all of these guys are. Even my brother, I'm going to call him a legend.
Check out our Patreon. Check out our Amazon affiliate links. Don't sleep on Grandstand Betters. They are very good at what they do. You heard Matt earlier, though I wouldn't trust him on this match, but I trust him most of the time. So trust him 98% of the time, except when he's talking about your team. We love you all. Stay safe. See you tomorrow.